Bats. When we hear that word, we envision a flock of horrible nightmarish bloodsuckers turning into Dracula. We think of the Dark Knight, a mysterious warrior that fights at night. Though the little brown bats are neither superheroes with tremendous powers, and definitely not a vampirish nightmare, they hold an important yet so very vulnerable place in a variety of ecosystems. Through this video, we will discuss the endangerment of the little brown Myotis species, its causes, and how can we help.
Little brown bats are an endangered species of bat in Canada. They were originally very common, but their numbers have recently decreased drastically. They have a body length of 2.5 to 4 inches, but a wingspan of 11 inches from tip to tip. They are usually found in swampy areas and often have a diet of wasps, moths, mosquitoes, and many other similar flying insects. The females mature in the age of 7 to 9 months, and the males usually need about a year to mature. Like other bats, they use echolocation to find their way around in the dark. Echolocation is simply when the bats produce loud clicking sounds, which can bounce off nearby objects and obstacles to give the bats information about the surroundings. The sounds of their echolocation are ultrasonic, which means that humans aren't able to hear it.
The little brown bats are mainly found in northern United States and Canada. Though some of them are found in lesser numbers in the southern states, it is largely absent from the United States Great Plains. They can also be found in the higher elevated forests of Mexico. Little brown bats are not territorial. They live in colonies in over hundreds of thousands of individuals. Instead of being aggressive towards each other, as territorial animals would, they work together to hunt, mate, reproduce, and even migrate. They usually nest in sites called roosts, which each serve different purposes. Some examples include day and night roosts, which are for sleeping and resting, and hibernacolia, which are a type of roosts for winter months, hence the prefix hyper. Furthermore, little brown bats choose caves, trees, rocks, and even old abandoned buildings as roost sites. Migrations of hundreds of miles could be made to get from summer habitats to hibernacolia.
There are a lot of reasons why little brown bats are so unique and important, both as a species and to their habitats in Canada overall. The females can delay their egg fertilization until spring, even though they mate in the previous fall, since the bat pups have to be born in late June or early July.
They can eat while flying, since their teeth are slightly curved inwards, and they can capture food with their wingtips.
Adult bats can eat over half their body weight every day, and females that must produce milk sometimes eat more than their body weight.
If a little brown bat does not have enough food, it slows its body processes during the day as it sleeps, so that it can conserve energy for the following night, when it will need to gather food again.
The little brown bat's light average weight means that each bat is approximately the same weight as 4 pennies put together, or the equivalent of about a toonie's.
Bats, by eating multiple insects, can help with biodiversity by allowing plants and other species to grow. After all, these insects are also carrying harmful diseases that could kill off animals as well. Also, little brown bats are responsible for the pollination of numerous plants, some of which don't have many pollinators in the first place. Bats are now also being used as an indicator for biodiversity. By monitoring bat populations, they are able to track the biodiversity of other organisms as well through the bat's diet.
Additionally, the livestock is also important for the biodiversity of the large variety of farm animals as well. By helping this, farmers, animals, and other things alike are benefited.
Bats in general eat many pests. The little brown bat in particular eats half their body in size of insects. By eating large amounts of pests, they control the bug population and let the essential plants grow. They are also very helpful to human farmers and kill many of the invasive pests that can carry dangerous diseases, such as the West Nile disease and malaria. Another threat to little brown bats is invasive species. Spelunkers that have previously gone through to Europe brought soil from European caves to Canada with them. In the soil was the fungus Geomyces destructans, which was as unpleasant as the name makes it out to be. It caused a lot of harms to the bat populations in North America, especially considering that they have never been exposed to such a problem before.
The fungus spreads easily considering that little brown bats gather often, such as when they are hibernating. It also can spread over a wide area, since other species of bat in Canada can also be infected by the fungus, and the other bat species that migrate more can help infect others with the fungus.
The fungus causes a disease called white nose syndrome, and there's currently no cure. It spreads onto the little brown bat's wings, noses, and other patches of skin that are not covered by any fur. During the winter when the bats are hibernating, this fungus often causes them to wake up too early from dehydration, and they often starve to death because they cannot conserve energy while they are awake. or they will die from dehydration.
The fungus was absolutely disastrous, and 5.7 to 6.7 million bats died between 2006, which is the year it was introduced to Canada, and 2013. Many scientists estimate that in about 3 to 24 years, the little brown bat may become completely extirpated from Canada. It is likely that less than 1% of the original population of little brown bats would be left after the epidemic is over. No one has found a cure or vaccine for white nose syndrome yet, so scientists cannot help them very much. The only thing scientists can do to help now is to try and prevent the fungus from spreading further.
Climate change is causing vast temperature changes, disrupting the migration patterns of the little brown bat. Because of the variety of heat changes, bats end up hibernating earlier or later than usual, causing disruption in the bats' lifestyles and the ecosystem around them. Additionally, climate change leads to more severe weather, which bats aren't adapted to. Natural disasters damage many habitats every year.
Habitat loss is also significantly affecting the little brown bats, as the forested habitats that little brown bats tend to live in are being cut down or polluted. They originally would have been able to live in trees, but are now forced to find shelter in human constructions like buildings or farms. Since humans are afraid of bats, they often will then try to remove the bats, which can sometimes result in exterminators causing more damage to bat populations. Additionally, habitats of insects that little brown bats eat are being destroyed, and the insect populations are decreasing, which makes it increasingly difficult for the little brown bats to find food. This, along with white nose syndrome, is causing more of a population decline.
The pollution of air, water, and land is causing the population of the little brown bats to decline due to the effects it has on the fungus that causes white nose syndrome. The fungi grow rapidly with different effects. Additionally, people who abandon structures often find those very structures to be the new home of bats. However, these bats that are following us around are also exposed to the air pollution and old building viruses as well. Also, the pollution that explorer brings into a bat cave could further disrupt their hibernation in the cave. More importantly, people who enter a bat cave with white nose syndrome become highly susceptible to transferring the disease to other caves and bats.
Another problem with pollution is that the pesticides we use are harmful to insects, which are the little brown bat's food source. The pesticides' harmful effects can also affect the bats themselves, if the insects that are poisoned are then eaten by the bats.
Multiple organizations have issued to citizens to bring awareness to the different dangers of the white nose syndrome to bats, and use the benefits of bats themselves as an incentive. By breaking down social stigma such as vampires and creepy house pests, we can then push to solve the issue. These organizations are recommending activities such as building bat houses, which are shelters offered to bats that you can simply build in your backyard. If everyone makes an effort, we will be able to make a lot of progress. More importantly, however, the social stigma around bats is the main problem that organizations such as TED-Ed, the World Wildlife Foundation, National Science Foundation, and Hinterland's Who's Who's are trying to solve. Hopefully, you've learned of the importance of preserving this not so well known species. Furthermore, we hope that you understand that these cute little brown pigs with wings are at risk and need support. After all, sometimes even the little brown Batman needs saving. Donate to the World Wildlife Foundation to show your support.
Additionally,
The main problem now.